Hey guys, Michael here from michaelsherlock.com. I want to talk to you today about the rumored MacBook Pro update that is scheduled to come tomorrow, the 24th of February. There's been a lot of rumors about what's going into this. I'm going to break down some of the rumors and then get to some leaked specs and some confirmed specs that have trickled out onto the internet. So first and foremost, the next generation of core processors, the SandyBridge dual-core CPUs. Don't get too excited. This isn't going to be quad-core CPUs yet in a mobile platform, but these dual-core Core i5 and possibly i7 chips are much improved over the previous generation. Again, with the new architecture, you can't simply compare clock speeds, especially if you're comparing to older CPU models. There's a lot more that goes into it nowadays than just pure speed, or rather pure clock speed. And I can guarantee you that these new 2011 core chips are extremely fast, extremely efficient, and extremely awesome. Another rumor that we've heard is improved battery life. Apparently there's been some patents that have leaked out that Apple is working on a way to condense the batteries so that not only will they fit into a smaller space so they could possibly make this device thinner, but also that they could fit more battery juice and electrons into the same space that is currently occupied by batteries. So improved battery performance is another rumor. Not as strong as SandyBridge, because I'm 100% sure that's what's going to be in, but improved battery, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. One thing I would be surprised about is if it's light and thinner. I really doubt this. There's a lot of rumors now that the design refresh for the MacBook Pros are going to be coming in 2012. I would not be surprised at all if aesthetically this is exactly the same as the current models that are on the market. Another rumor that seems a little bit out there, although some people are talking about it as if it's a definite, is instead of just installing the operating system on the hard drive, there will actually be a small SSD standard for these MacBook Pros that will include operating system files. So an 8 to 16 gigabyte SSD just for operating system files and utilities for the platform to run on. It really has some merits and is really an interesting concept because you would still have your regular hard drive to store all your files and programs and such, but you would have extremely improved performance because those operating system files, which are constantly being accessed and read, would be dramatically faster because, again, it's coming from that solid-state disk. Another rumor is LightPeak. That's that 10 gigabit per second interface that Intel is set to talk about tomorrow, actually, which is one of the reasons about this event. Intel is going, like I said, have an event tomorrow. It's expected that they'll talk about LightPeak, and that was one of the things that was kind of curious for me earlier in the week, was that how could Apple include a new interface that hasn't really been launched yet without holding a media event? But if Intel's going to hold it, then it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't have a media event because it's just a new input-output type of thing. But basically, let me just give you a little rundown of what LightPeak is. It's intended to replace USB and FireWire for consumers, obviously 400 megabytes per sec or megabits per second, and 800 versus, and then 420, I believe, for USB 2.0. I don't remember exactly the number off the top of my head. But not only would it be a faster throughput than that, and we've already compared USB 2.0 and FireWire 400 in a previous video, but it would also be much less strenuous on your CPU and would have much less overhead for, again, faster real-life throughput. But what's interesting is, it's not just designed to replace USB and FireWire, but other things such as eSATA, DisplayPort, HDMI, DVI. So basically you'd have one port that you could not only use for a high-speed hard drive, but also for, let's say, your monitor or external television that you're going to be using to display your computer components, or rather computer output. LightPeak really has a lot of benefits. I'm pretty excited for LightPeak. And, if they come out with it tomorrow, I'm in the market for a new MacBook Pro for college, but if they come out with a LightPeak MacBook tomorrow, I'm probably going to go ahead and jump on that. So that's just some of the rumors. One thing that's been kind of interesting is some specs and pictures have leaked out of a reported 13-inch, the low-end model. So let's just run through some of those specs. Again, Core i5 processor, that 2011 version, which is extremely efficient, at 2.3 gigahertz with 3 megabytes of cache, 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM at 1,333 megahertz. Hard drive is going to be 320 gigabytes of 500 at 5,400 RPMs. Again, these reports don't have anything about that SSD for the operating system, which were speculated upon. The screen is going to be a 13.33-inch glossy display, 1280 by 800. I really wish that they have options for matte. I have a glossy display right now on my current MacBook Pro, and it's kind of disappointing, and I would really much prefer to have matte options across the board, not only for eye strain, but also for graphics. If you're doing graphics or video editing, matte displays give you the real color, and also if you're outside, it's really pretty much impossible to use your computer in the light. One thing that's interesting is the Intel graphics will be integrated. It's the 3000 GPU with 384 megabytes of shared system memory. So they're starting you off at 4 gigabytes on this model, so the integrated graphics will have some RAM to work with. But this is just kind of interesting. In the past, Apple really hasn't relied on the MacBook Pro line with integrated graphics from Intel. But now that now that Intel has sort of made peace with that and has improved their integrated graphics, it's reported that that's what's going to be in this low-end 13-inch MacBook Pro. I fully expect that higher-end 13 inches and 15 and 17 will have discrete cards. Another interesting thing is a HD eyesight camera for Facetime is what they're calling it. I think the eyesight branding is probably going to go away, and we'll see more Facetime just to show unity among the eye products, from Macs to iPhones and iPads, perhaps. We'll see on March 2nd. Another thing, Thunderbolt. This is what they're expecting Light Peak to be called. Of course, Apple can't just call it, what everybody else calls it. Hence, the super drive compared to a DVD burner, which is what the rest of the modern society calls it. So Thunderbolt for input and output and monitors, which is a pretty interesting thing. Again, I've already gone over Light Peak, and I'd be pretty impressed and pretty happy if they did have that. In terms of other ports besides that Thunderbolt Light Peak, an SDXC memory card slot, FireWire 800, and 2 USB 2.0 ports for legacy stuff. Again, Thunderbolt is probably the way of the future, or at least one of the future inputs that you're going to be wanting to use, but they still have to support current technologies and current external hard drives and such. Rounding it out, it's probably going to be the same size and weight. Again, I expect it to be in the same enclosure as it is now, that sleek unibody look, a backlit keyboard, and digital audio out. So as I referenced before, I'm pretty excited about these new MacBook Pros. Again, I'm in the market for them. So tomorrow, assuming this update actually occurs, I'm either going to be making a video on it, talking to you about all the new features, and if I was close to these in this report, that would be pretty interesting. But if it, is the new, SandyBridge CPUs, it's looking pretty nice. It's got that Light Peak future-proof technology. I may be going on and jumping onto that, and you may see some videos on Friday, me unboxing it, walking you through it. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 days in Apple news, and of course next week with the iPad event, which I was correct in predicting for March 2nd. I'm Michael Sherlock from michaelsherlock.com. If these are the specs for the next MacBook Pro, is that worth buying, and would you upgrade? I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.